Entering the atmosphere in T minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Omega Metroid podcast from OmegaMetroid.com. My name is Andy Spiteri, back for another week of Metroid with my friend and yours, Doomino Crossing. What a week it's been since last we recorded. It feels like it's been a long time, actually, to be honest. Since then, what's going on, Doom? How are you?
Some could say it's the week of all time. Just been working, saving some more money. I finally got around to doing my taxes, and I got almost $1,000 back. So very happy. Doesn't matter what price that Switch 2 is going to be. I'm going to be there day one at this point. So my Switch 2 fund is fully topped off, and we're just counting down the days to Switch 2, counting down the days to Metroid Prime 4. And we're just living. And also, kind of unrelated to that, I'm seeing AC/DC in a few days as well.
Really?
Gonna be my first show. Yeah, gonna be my first concert of 2025. So I'm excited about that.
Oh, nice.
And it's gonna be about a 6-hour drive to Pasadena. But yeah, very excited. It's gonna be my third time seeing him now.
That would be a great show. Like AC, like they just like, man, they just got like so many like unreal hits. You know, like. That'd be a fantastic show. I would love to see that. All right, hold on. If I were to drill you for your favorite, and I'm not like an AC/DC super fan by any means, but I enjoy listening to them. I think it's my dad who's not really into music like AC/DC. What's your favorite AC/DC tune? If you like, what are you blaring on that 6-hour drive on repeat?
It's tough. I don't really have like a favorite song. I have like a collection of songs. I'm surprised you like AC/DC. I didn't think that would be your jam, but that's awesome. Yeah,
I do. Yeah, like I'm not the biggest classic rock guy, but I do love AC/DC. They, the Angus Young just has like such a unique voice. You know, like it's just like I respect that. Like when you hear a song, no one else could sing it like that.
You mean his guitar voice? He is not the singer.
Yes. Oh God, who the heck?
So you got Bon Scott, the original
singer, because there was two of them, right?
Yeah. You got the original singer Bon Scott. He passed away, and then the current singer is Brian Johnson.
Oh my God, yes, Brian Johnson. I'm sorry. I'll see what I mean. All the classic rock people are just like, Jesus, this guy. What are you blasting? In terms of what's on my mind right now, there's a really good song off Let There Be Rock called Overdose. That's a great song that I love. Let's see. Down Payment Blues off Powerage. That's probably my favorite AC/DC album. So Down Payment Blues is a good one. Obviously, Hell's Bells is a pretty mainstream song, but I think it's worthy of it. An incredible song. I love how it just subtly builds up into, kind of that main melody. And their new album, they have this really almost non-AC/DC song called Mists of Time, which I know that doesn't sound like a title you'd find in an AC/DC song. Really good piece of music. I love that song off the new album. Hope they play that live on Friday. That sounds like Final Fantasy music right there.
Yeah, right?
I'm like super basic. I hear Back in Black, like that riff, and I'm just like, oh yeah, let's go. Although
it's a killer riff.
Especially the riff, like right at the end, like that is good stuff. But I will say, like one of my favorite AC. It's not it's an AC/DC song, but it's a cover, dude. I could go word for word with "It's a Long Way to the Top" at the end of School of Rock. Like, with all of Jack Black's mannerisms. That's back when Jack Black was awesome. Like,
hey, come on. I still like Jack Black.
Well, yes, he's certainly prolific in video game movies these days. I'll say that. The Minecraft movie is making, like, a killing at the box office.
Yeah, it is doing insane. There's a chance it could even dethrone the Mario movie. We'll see if that happens or not.
I wouldn't be surprised if it did that at all, actually. That'd be very on point, I think, for Minecraft. No, that's super awesome. I'm glad to hear it. Back on Metroid Prime 4,
You know what? You know what this game has convinced me to do, and I'm going to do this. For the first time in 11 years, I'm going to buy a 4K TV. I'm going to buy a new TV, and it's going to be... So I have like a 45-inch, just like LCD TV, and it served me very well for 10 years. Like, I don't watch like... I don't watch like, I would say a lot of TV, maybe like a couple hours a week, and I hardly play on my TV at all anymore. But man, looking at this footage, which we're going to go through today, I was just like, I think I got to upgrade. I think it's time for an upgrade, because holy smokes. Like,
the man who notoriously doesn't care about resolution and pixels and all that, you're finally seeing the light.
You know, I guess so, because like I can't say that it, and I can't say it really matters to me. This is what I would say. It was more about the size than the details, because like my TV, like in my basement, right, actually right behind my office, there's our like entertainment room. So like there's the TV, and like 12 feet away is the couch. So like it looks really small when you're looking at it from across the room. So like it's just time for something a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
I'm sure everyone listening is just like really dying to know about my basement layout, but there it is. So yeah, we are. So as alluded to, we are indeed going to cover and go through all of that incredible footage that was shown on the Nintendo Treehouse live stream, as we talked about last week. And oh my goodness, is that footage just absolutely beautiful. I'm sure we've all seen it by now, but we're going to try and pick through it, see if we can find anything, just point out some things we thought were cool. We're going to go over the key art and maybe see if we can get any details from there. But first, oh my, we are going to try and recap what has happened within the last week since we recorded. We're recording on Monday, and we recorded last Monday. And it, like, about the Switch 2 pre-orders, and it, like, there was just like a whole bonanza, to use a word, of news coming in. So
DK bonanza.
Yes, indeed. So let me see if I can get all this right. And for everybody out there, if I get anything wrong, I'm sorry. Don't blame me.
Yeah, for all we know, there's more stuff breaking at this very moment, and we have no idea. So
yeah, you know what? Like I will say, nobody loves and defends Nintendo more than I do, okay? But like, this is absolutely shameful that there is not like a Q&A on their website about the Switch 2 that answers very basic questions like, if I buy a game, a Switch 2 edition game, what do I get? Or like does DLC come included with this? Or X, Y, Z? That is shameful that there is nothing on this website, because like it's like, good lord.
And what's worse is, depending on which customer support representative you speak to, you might get a different answer. There's no really clean cut answers on a lot of these questions, these very important questions. And I guess eventually we're gonna find out by June 5th, but like, still, it's a bit ridiculous that this wasn't all sorted through earlier.
Well, and the other thing too is like, there's so much misinformation online right now about like how much a Switch game costs, how much a digital game costs, how much you know what I mean? It's just like, this is not how I would have done it, and obviously like, who am I, you know? But I don't know, maybe Nintendo could go with a different PR firm for their next console reveal, because this one, I don't think, like, for so many positives, and there were a lot of positives, it almost just feels like for every good thing, there's like one bad thing that maybe could have been avoided if there was a little bit more transparency, or I don't know. It's been a circus, you know, since the reveal.
For me personally, like, most of this stuff either doesn't really affect me or it's not that big of a deal to me. So in terms of my personal enjoyment, I am still overwhelmingly hyped for the Nintendo Switch 2. I'm very excited to play all these games. I'm excited to, play Metroid Prime 4K.
Yes.
And so, yeah, overwhelmingly, like the actual negativity for me is like here, but you can definitely see in the conversation online that is definitely weighing down, a lot of the discussion. And I think it's for understandable reasons. I don't fault anyone who's a bit more down on the Switch 2 than me. I think that's totally valid. I think Nintendo needs to be a lot more transparent on this. There's also a lot of factors outside their control that has really hampered down the Switch too, but it kind of mixed together in this really gross cacophony.
Right. Okay, so here we go. So first and foremost, what happened basically on the day that that we recorded last week is pre-orders were delayed in Canada as well. So as of right now, because of our friend down south, there is no pre-orders in North America at all right now. I don't know if Mexico had theirs delayed or not, but Canada certainly did. So we know that. Now, the other thing that happened and everybody was talking about is, these tariffs that were supposed to go into place were paused for 90 days. So once again, our pal just had no idea about anything and delayed these tariffs. And then, although I will say, I believe that there's still a 10% tariff on every country except for China right now.
Yeah, China still has a 45% tariff, and I believe so. There was some news going around how like certain categories of parts would still only get the 10% of. Okay, so we'll get there when we get there.
Yeah, well, actually, let's just get there now. So that was what, Tuesday or Wednesday of last week.
Yeah.
Since then, there was the pause on the tariff. There's going to be a 90-day pause. Obviously, that pushes us past the June 5th release date. Although there have been reports that certain categories, as you mentioned, are going to be exempt from tariffs, and that did include electronics such as like laptops, cell phones, and you would have to imagine like video game consoles. I would assume that is part of that.
You would have had to imagine it, but they confirmed today it does not include that, unfortunately. So, yay!
Okay, well, never mind. So the tariffs are still potentially maybe going to be a thing, but they're not coming for another 90 days. Who knows? The world could be over in 90 days at the rate we're going. There's a few other, I guess, just like quick things that we should go over. Last week, we spent a little bit of time discussing what was actually included if you bought a Nintendo Switch 2 edition of Metroid Prime 4 or any Nintendo Switch 2 edition game. And at the time, the information we had was that essentially there was going to be the Switch 1 game and then a digital download code. And the point of contention was like, well, if I want to sell my game after I'm done with it, which, to be honest, like in this economy with $90 or $80 video games, I think a lot of people are going to do. The challenge was, well, how do I do that if this is a digital download code only? Now, here's some good news. We have confirmed, Nintendo has confirmed, that if you buy a Nintendo Switch 2 edition of Metroid Prime 2, you get the game and the upgrade on one physical cart. So you can basically, I could give my copy to Doom and he could have the same exact Nintendo Switch 2 edition of Metroid Prime 4. And that goes across the board for all first-party Nintendo games. Not necessarily for third-party titles, but all first-party Nintendo games.
Yeah, so this is actually, I was more on the optimistic side. This is actually even better than I was expecting, because like the way I assumed it would work is like how a PS4 or an Xbox Series X upgrade works, or a Series S upgrade. And basically the way that works is if you have a previous gen copy of the game, it'll detect that you have the disc and it'll allow you to download the update, but you still need to use the disc to play the game. So it's kind of like how you would download any regular update, but it would be like a next gen console update. And that's kind of how I imagine that would work in this case. It's a Switch 1 cart that you can put in both consoles, but you can only download the update when the cart is in the current console. Apparently it's not that. Apparently the Switch 2 editions include a Switch 2 only cart, so you can't use them on your Switch 1, but it has all the info on the cart, so you don't even need an internet connection, which in terms of preservation, that's going to be even better for the long run. In case you want to buy copy of Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, you want the Switch 2 upgrades, but we're on the Switch 5 at that point. The Switch 2 service is no longer active. Well, you can still, assuming that card isn't destroyed, you can still play that Switch 2 version directly from the card. So that's awesome to hear.
Mm-hmm. So a couple other pieces of business here. And number one is that speaking of Nintendo Switch 2 editions of video games, this only applies to like a select few. Obviously, this was more of a point of contention on the ZeldaCast side than Omega, but if you are buying a game that has DLC, and we'll use Breath of the Wild, for example, you are going to be buying that DLC separately. It is not included in the Switch 2 edition of the game. I guess that makes sense, because like then how do you kind of balance that value with a game like Tears of the Kingdom, which doesn't have DLC, but it's the same price? I still think that it's kind of weak, if I'm being honest with you. Like,
I think it's a bit ridiculous. I think if you're buying the upgrade, you should also just get the DLC if you haven't purchased it already. Which, again, it's probably not going to affect most people. Most people that are going to be upgrading, I would assume, probably have that Breath of the Wild DLC already. But, I mean, there's some that don't, and it's like, I mean, come on. You're already, you know, you're already paying $10 as it is. Just include it. And the DLC for Breath of the Wild isn't even that expansive. Like, you know, you get a little bit of extra bonus content, but it's not like a massive.
It's pretty meaty, I will say. But yeah, I mean that's just like, I feel like a little bit of goodwill would have went a long way for Nintendo for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And again, this is an example of something where it doesn't really affect me personally, because again, already own the game, already own the DLC. I just have to pay for the $10 upgrade, but. Even still, it's just kind of like a really moment, like
a little bit. And I mean, you're not wrong. I think it's kind of lame, but I mean, also like the game is 8 years old. Like if you don't own Breath of the Wild and you don't own the DLC at this point, you probably just don't want that game. You know what I mean? Like, so
yeah.
And if you have the DLC already, so like for me, I have the DLC, I have the game. And I have Nintendo Switch Online expansion pass, so I'll just upgrade mine for free, and that won't cost me anything. And anyone in kind of a similar boat would have the same thing. If you don't have NSO Online expansion pass, you just pay your $10 to upgrade. Which was the other thing confirmed, by the way, is that those digital upgrades, you were right, Doom, they will cost about $10.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, so it's $10 for the regular ones that just include like the graphical enhancements, or maybe like the Joy-Con enhancements for like the mouse-con stuff. It seems like the ones that include DLC are going to be $20, which understandable. I don't know. It kind of depends on what your viewpoint is. I could see it go either way. It kind of depends on like, I guess it depends on the quality of the DLC, which we won't know until, you know, we actually get our hands on it for the games that applies to.
I mean, I can't even think of any game like, so there's a different upgrade price for games that come with DLC.
I mean, I don't know. For all I know, this could be misinformation, but from what I understand, so Kirby and the Forgotten Land, for example, it's $80 for the Switch 2 Enhanced Edition, even though the game originally retailed for $60.
Yeah.
And that game not only includes the graphical enhancements, but it also includes that bonus campaign as well, kind of like Bowser's Fury did for the for Mario 3D World. And then same thing with Mario Party Jamboree. It includes that Jamboree TV expansion as well, and that I believe is retailing for $80 too. And so, but I think it's the only other $80 game is Tears of the Kingdom, but that game originally retailed for $70, so you're still only paying an additional $10 for that.
Yeah, and again, that's probably one, like, if you don't own Tears of the Kingdom by now, I gotta figure you probably just don't want to play Tears of the Kingdom, which, fair enough. All of this is like such good, it's just such a compelling case for Nintendo. Put a Q&A on your website. You know what I mean? Like, how easy would it be? I'm furiously like scrounging Nintendo Life and IGN trying to find the latest news updates here, and it's just like, if only there was one place on Nintendo's website where you could just ask a question and you get an answer. So we'll see.
You know what'd be really cool is like an interactive chart like that you can access on your Switch or Switch 2 that like reads your game purchases, your save data, and it can actually tell you like, hey, here's everything you need to purchase to get the full experience. That'd be kind of cool. Even that, you don't even need that though. Like you said, a simple Q&A would just do so much wonders right now.
Maybe they could put that on the Nintendo Today app, because I was looking at this app yesterday and I was like getting kind of flustered because I was like, this thing sucks. Like, I have on my Nintendo. So when you download this app, okay, you put in your preferences, like what you want to see. And I specifically said, I don't care about Kirby. Do you know what? This is Kirby related news on the front page of my Nintendo Today app. It's like, get this out of here. Like, just let me get Metroid, let me get Zelda, let me get a couple other series. Like, I don't know. I keep on seeing, like, other pages post, like, all this cool Metroid story. Like, they're talking about the story from Dread and Fusion. And it's like, where is that? I don't know.
I experimented with that. I put my preferences as only Metroid to see what would happen. And not only did I get a bunch of series that aren't Metroid, I've only gotten like one of those Metroid lore update stories. It's like, how the heck does this app work? It's so confusing, and most of the stuff is super pointless. I don't know. Maybe it's something that like Nintendo will build the app and it'll make sense in like a year or two. But as it stands right now, I don't understand what the point of this is.
This app is horrible. Like, and I'm sure we probably sound like a couple of boomers here, like those two old guys from the Muppets. But like, goddamn, this app like sucks. I did the same thing last night. I like unselected everything looking for that Metroid Dread story so far, and I was like, can I search? No. Can I like what is the point of this app? Like I don't know. And I don't know if anybody knows, but it did close off that fine Nintendo Direct that we had a couple weeks ago. So there we go. Okay, let's move on. That is the news as far as we know. Things could change. Things probably will change. We'll see what happens. For me, I have a little bit of a silver lining that you don't here, Doom. In that, if I didn't get my Switch 2 on day one, I wouldn't be heartbroken because as much as I love Mario Kart, it's not the series for me that's just like, I gotta get this like the first day that it's available, you know? Even though this Mario Kart looks exceptional.
I'm pretty confident that I mean, obviously we won't know until pre-orders open. I'm feeling pretty confident I'm going to be able to score a Switch 2 day one. Unless these prices are just absolutely egregiously astronomical, which even if Nintendo does get it with a 45, I can't see, the Switch 2 being like $800. I just can't see that, even for Nintendo.
Yeah, we'll see. I would have a hard time believing that as well. I don't think that Nintendo's going to eat the cost of the tariffs, though. I stand firm by that. But at the same time, I don't see them jacking up the price so that you can't afford it.
One scenario I could see is that I could see the console prices remaining the same, or maybe like a marginal increase of the console, and then maybe like them charging more for like NSO and stuff like that. Which I think that would be an okay way to like tackle that scenario. There isn't really a good way to tackle this, but I don't know. I think I'd prefer that over an $800 console. I'll tell you that.
We need Luigi Mario on the case here, I think. All right, let's talk about some Metroid here. We got a lot of footage to go through, and we're not going to go through it like all. We're going to kind of skim and go forward a little bit. So what we'll do here, and by the way, if anyone listening to this on podcast form, if you ever want to watch some of our episodes on YouTube, this is going to be the perfect one to watch on YouTube because we're going to have the video. You can kind of follow along here. I'm going to give out the timestamps so that anybody listening in podcast form can maybe go back and watch the video and just kind of follow along and see what we're going to see here. But this would be a good one to watch on YouTube so that you can kind of watch the footage as we do as well. And I guess I'll give you some timestamps as well, Doom, since we'll can't necessarily share the screen. But yeah, let's go ahead and let's pull up that Treehouse footage and let's break it down, see what we can figure out, and try and see if there's anything that we can spot that might be pretty cool.
So I'm already at 36 seconds right here. Basically, when you see that kind of that prelude title crawl, that's I'd say pretty iconic in the Metroid series at this point. We've been seeing a lot more of those classic Super Metroid style title crawls, and we didn't really get one like this for any of the Prime games, so it's really interesting to see them bring it into here now, complete with the theme of Super Metroid.
By the way, So I ripped the footage and I put it on Omega Metroid's YouTube page. Great thumbnail that we have there. Sylux just looking absolutely like $1,000,000. He looks so cool. But yes, let's fast forward. You know what? We actually got to give props before we get going here. I have my stream muted, so I can't remember the dude who's actually playing in the middle. We kind of gave him a little bit of a hard time last week because he wasn't the best at the boss fight, but I gotta say, I enjoyed this guy's gameplay. Actually, he was an engaging commentator, so we're gonna mute him for today, but we should give him a little bit of love. Now,
yeah, absolutely. I don't hold anything against him. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's skip ahead to 36 seconds, and we'll just pause it right here at 39 seconds just to read everything that's being said. It is Cosmic Year 20X9. How far away do you think that is? Doesn't sound that far away.
Yeah, 20. I mean, who knows? I mean, Dak and I we talked about this on the podcast for 20X9. What does it mean? It's it's a sci-fi space year, so that that this is a sci-fi universe. I don't think this has any implications on the timeline. I think this is going to take place after Federation Force.
Yes, clearly.
For a number of reasons that are backed up in this trailer as well. But yeah, I don't think this is going to be happening near Super Metroid. We already talked about that before, so we don't really have to get into any of that again.
One thing that stuck out to me here is that it just kind of jumps right into like Sylux and his army of space pirates, as if we are supposed to be familiar with who Sylux is. And the other thing actually as well that stuck out to me is that previously in Smash Bros. Brawl, we had seen Sylux's pronouns be they, them, and they're obviously referring to Sylux as he or him in this particular opening crawl. So I thought that was kind of curious as well. But it does kind of just seem like you get the impression here that we should know who Sylux is. So like I don't know, like I'm wondering if maybe there's some sort of like recap video or something that plays before this to bring us up to speed that we haven't seen yet.
I don't necessarily think so, and I actually don't think that we really need to. It honestly, it kind of reminds me of like a Star Wars title crawl where they'll like, episode 3, they'll just casually talk about General Grievous as if you've spent so much time, and when that's the first on-screen appearance that he's had, if you didn't watch the Clone Wars animated series, which most people watching Revenge of the Sith did not. Or even Count Dooku in Attack of the Clones. Absolutely nobody knew who he was, and they reference him like you're supposed to know who he is. I think it's the same thing here. I don't think it's really indicative of anything else. It could be that there's like an extended sequence, or maybe there's some marketing that like unveils a little bit more about Sylux. I feel like they're just gonna kind of cold open this one, and honestly, I kind of love it because Metroid isn't really known for its cold opens.
I think that we could definitely do with kind of a recap, like not just basically like, here's what happened in Metroid Prime Hunters, here's what happened briefly in the Prime trilogy, and here's what happened in Federation. They have to do something with Federation Force. Like they have to show where Sylux got these Metroids from. I feel like that to me is crucial.
I don't even think you necessarily need to do that at the beginning of the game. Like that could be something that gets revealed later, is what I'm saying. I don't think there needs to be like an extended sequence. I don't know. Like I kind of like that it just kind of cold opens, plasters you with some brief info, and then just puts you right into the fight like at the start of the game. Like it's very un-Metroid like, but that's why I like it.
It does feel like Star Wars a little bit, which is probably why I don't like it, to be honest with you. All right, let's press play here, and we'll pause at the next one here really quickly. So it is believed
my arrow keys the
space pirates are being controlled by Metroids that have the ability to fuse with other life forms and control their minds. Well,
yeah. So this is something.
There you go.
Yeah, so this is something that we were theorizing with that Switch 1 Direct trailer, because there's that brief shot where you see the space pirate boss. I think now we know it's called Aberax, but at the time we see the space pirate boss, and we see it have this growth, like this almost cancerous growth come out of its back right after we see a shot of a Metroid coming down, and we started theorizing like, hey, maybe that's the new gimmick with these Metroids is that, they can like almost combine and, fuse with creatures now. And this title crawl pretty much confirms that theory. And there's also also going back to that Switch 1 footage, there's that plant boss, Carvex, the one that kind of reminded us of Flugra. That one I also noticed had some growth spurts that were evocative of like the Metroid nuclei, and so I think that's going to be playing a role later on in the game. Although we can talk about that once that big event happens.
The ability of Metroids to fuse with and take over their hosts might be the only thing that I've ever got right in the last like 6 months here predicting anything on this show. So that was kind of cool to see. Let's keep going here, and we will wait for the next little thing to pop up. Here we go. Now on planet Tanamar in the Desalan system, another Federation research facility is being attacked. Galactic Federation HQ received their distress call and dispatched Samus, who was on a reconnaissance mission nearby. So, all right, planet Tanamar, never been here before,
right?
But pretty cool.
Right off the bat, such a better name than Viewros. I don't know what they were thinking with that, but yeah, Tanamar, that feels like that's a Metroid name right there. Yeah, Tanamar, I like that.
Somebody said this to me actually, and I completely agree with it. It's not that the name Viewros is like the worst. It's the spelling actually that's the worst.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like they're just basically sounding it out phonetically so that you can like understand how to say it. Which would be fine if it was just like maybe named differently or something like that.
Yeah, there are people in our Discord that were like proposing alternative spellings. Yeah, and I was totally on board with most of them. And it's like, those look like names that I could buy into, and you would pronounce them exactly the same, but just them being spelt differently like makes all the difference in the world.
Totally, yeah. I wish I could remember who said that because I want to give them a shout out, but they were totally right. All right, let's keep going here. I'm going to let it play for a little bit, and we can just watch this absolutely incredible intro.
Yeah. One thing I do want to give a quick shout out to our friends over at Shine Sparkers. They actually pointed out a really cool Easter egg with the music here. So it starts out playing, the theme of Super Metroid that's, appeared in like so many games now. But then it plays this motif right here when the gunship is coming down. And this motif is actually exclusively played in one of the new arrangements on the Sound and Action CD. It plays at the very end of that piece, and so that was a really cool. That's a really cool callback to a very obscure piece of Metroid music there. And like you listen to them, you listen to them next to each other, and like it's pretty clear that it was an intentional reference. Like it is bang on. So yeah, assuming that it was Kenji Yamamoto who did this. Oh my gosh, the scene of the Federation Marines running, and then our
we're gonna go
beautiful
back,
glow up here.
We're gonna go back to 150.
That's totally fair.
This just looks like absolutely spectacular, and I'm gonna pause it at 158 because I actually want to talk about the city here for a quick second. This actually does remind me of Star Wars, although in a cool way, in a prequel kind of a way. It looks like the I can't remember what the big city is called. I always want to call it like Croissant or something like that.
Coruscant?
Yeah, like a croissant, like you eat at a bakery. Coruscant, yes. This kind of gives me like those similar kind of vibes here. I just love like seeing like places in Metroid, like cities, colonies, establishments. It makes the world feel so like big and lived in and vast to me, that because like you kind of run into this problem with Star Wars too. It's like everybody is related to or knows a Skywalker somehow in this vast universe, right? And you kind of have the same thing with Metroid a little bit, where it's like sometimes it feels like the only people that are actually alive in this planet are like Samus and a few other bounty hunters. I really love the idea that we can like see this planet here, and look at that ship up in the top. That just looks like a deadly ship right there. It looks like it might be trouble for whoever it's shooting at.
Yeah, really cool that they brought back the Prime 3 corruption like pirate capital ships in this area. Really cool. And then we also talked about this during the reveal. There's those almost zero mission looking ships that the pirates use now, which I think is really cool. I don't know if that's an intentional reference or not, because they're not identical, but like it seems like they're very influenced by, which I think is pretty cool. But of course,
I bet you it's intentional.
as I was talking about earlier, like, my God, globe of the century with these Galactic Federation golems here. Our boys went from 0 to 100, looking just absolutely imposing and killer.
Let's get there, because we're not quite there yet. So let's let it play here. So yes, here we go. People are running, they're screaming, and we're gonna pause it at wait for the money shot. You know what? That's good enough. We're gonna pause it at 220. We're gonna pause it at 204. And yes, look at those golems from Metroid Prime Federation Force. You know, we said before, but man, this just really makes you wonder, like, what could have been. You know, what could have been instead of what we got. And I realize that, like, you couldn't do this on the 3DS, and that's totally fine. But I don't think that the concept for Federation Force is the worst. Like, I think it's kind of like a cool concept. Like, if you were to tell me, like, after watching this trailer, like, we're gonna make an entire game where you just play as these guys in their mechs, I'd be like, hell yeah.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Yeah, that sounds sign
great.
Me up.
Yeah, it's just like it was such a terrible first impression that I don't think we're ever gonna get another one, which is kind of a shame, because I think that if you would have done this on a console with like cool graphics and you know what, like kind of we said, like a Warriors game almost, where you have tons of enemies everywhere, you're feeling big and powerful, and not every space pirate was like 10 stories tall. Like, I think that would be really cool.
Well, I don't even necessarily think you need a more powerful console. Just not a chibi art style would have made so much of a difference in and of itself, I think.
Like you could have done this game on the Wii U for sure. And it would have been great. Like, you know, Xenoblade Chronicles X like has flying mechs in that game, and that was released on the Wii U and ironically just re-released on Nintendo Switch. Man, it makes you wonder what could have been, you know. And I don't think we'll ever get a second shot at it, which is
probably
unfortunate.
Not. Yeah. Also, I did want to point out. So, we got our first look at the redesigned Federation Trooper. I've heard a lot of people commenting online. Some people really like him. Some people don't like him as much. I personally love this redesign. I think the Echoes design is still my favorite look of like the Federation Marines, but like I think these guys are a close second. I especially love how the helmet slicks back now. It looks like a more traditional type of military helmet almost. It looks a bit more practical.
Yeah, I like it. I think it looks really good. It still has like the classic like visor, which I think is good. So you can easily identify that this is a Federation trooper. You know what? It almost kind of gave me a little bit of like Dead Space vibes. Like the suit looks fairly similar to what's the main guy's name? Isaac? Is that right?
Yeah, you know what it is? It's that it's the back piece. It almost has this spinal looking back piece that's very similar to like kind of that glowing health bar where his spine would be in Dead Space. Which again, I think that's a really cool addition. I love that little segmented spinal cord looking piece.
Yeah, I really like the design of the Federation troopers here. So let's go ahead. Let's let it play for a second.
Yeah. Yeah, they're also holding some more traditional looking rifles this time, because previously the Federation Marines, they'd hold like these one-handed, like almost not quite arm cannon looking devices, but like they'd be one hand. These look like more traditional looking laser rifles.
Golly, I had to pause at 2:15 just for a quick sec. This is our money shot of the Golem. This looks so good. This looks just so good. I don't know if I will ever understand why Nintendo thought like the chibi art was the way to go with Federation Force, and not to beat up on a game that I know we're all sick and tired of beating up on. It's kind of like Other M at this point, but it is just like a head scratching decision, isn't it?
Yeah, and again, like glow up of the century. Glow up of the century. Even going from Samus's Other M various suit to Samus Returns, that was already an insane glow up. But like, I'm not gonna lie, I think this one tops even that. It's pretty substantial.
As the kids say, be careful who you call ugly in middle school, because you never know what will happen. Okay, we're at 2:15. Let's go ahead, and I'm gonna pause really quickly at 2. I want to see this space pirate ship, so I'm gonna pause at 2:13 here. I correct me if I'm wrong, Doom. I don't know that we've seen this version of a pirate ship before, but this looks pretty cool as well. Now, the Golem had just shot down a space pirate ship that was right out of Zero Mission. This one here looks really interesting, though. Pretty neat design, I think.
Yeah, this is unless it's like flying, unless it's the same ship flying at an angle, but I don't think it is. This looks like a new design, but I'm digging it. I'm also noticing a theme with like a lot of the space pirate bolts seem to be. I literally just caught on to this, but a lot of the space pirate bolts, whether it's on the ground or in the air, they seem to be yellow coated this time. So I think that's how we're going to differentiate between them and the Federation. Federation's going to be blue. They're going to be yellow.
Well, let's press play here. And this new cool space pirate ship that we just talked about is going to meet an untimely end at the hands of Samus. And I'm going to pause it at 2:21. Not because anything is sticking out to me that I want to comment on, other than just like, God, these space pirate ships look awesome. Like, this looks so good.
I know, like they look even more massive in like these cutscenes than they did in Corruption, and especially like there's that shot where Samus actually takes one of them out earlier, and you can see like all these intricate electrical details that are like interwoven into like the circuitry of the ship too. It's like all very exposed. Like, oh, it looks so cool. Like I love. Yeah, it almost looks cybernetic almost, even though you don't really see any like organic components to it. I could definitely, knowing the space pirates, I could definitely see that playing a part in how these ships operate. Yeah, they look so awesome. I love it.
Well, here we go. We are playing, and Samus is just landing her ship, so we're at the 2:34 mark here, and this is what we saw from the initial trailer. Samus makes her big debut on the planet. And it looks like we are going right into gameplay. And it's worth noting as well that Samus' ship flies away. She sent it away there. So I'm just pausing quickly at 2:50. So Samus' ship flies away. So I actually don't know if that bodes well for the idea that maybe we're going to be controlling her ship on planet Viewros. Since, as we'll see, the anomaly activates and takes out... You got to assume like everything within maybe on the planet, or at least this colony certainly... But Samus' ship is not going to be there.
Yeah, I mean, it all depends. Yeah, that's something I was going to talk about later, but I guess we may as well talk about that now. So, at this point, I'm just going to kind of go into Metroid Prime 4, assuming that there isn't really going to be any ship gameplay, which is unfortunate, because I really wanted to see that expanded on from Prime 3. But
especially after that opening cutscene in Prime 4, my goodness.
Oh my gosh, yeah, especially like it'd be really unfortunate if you tease us with like all this cool ship gameplay and then there's nothing to show for. But alas, we've had two amazing Metroid Prime games that don't have ship gameplay, so it's not so Prime 4 is still going to be able to do well in that regard. But yeah, we do see the ship fly off. It's very possible that it does not get caught in that I don't know, time field or whatever happens at the end. And we simply don't have access to the ship. In which case, I'm curious how Samus will have to inevitably find her way back if she doesn't have a ship. But I don't know. We'll see.
I mean, I think that this anomaly is sending her through time and space, like maybe to a different dimension, maybe to a different. I think the only way back is the same way you got there. Would be my guess. Is what I'm saying. I paused it here over at 3:04 just really quickly. There's kind of a glowing purple like impact crater up here that looks like it has very similar energy to that anomaly that we saw. Like I'm pretty sure it's just like literal fire debris, but interesting that it kind of gives off the same energy patterns as the anomaly that we're seeing, or that we will see. I would say.
Yeah, I want to say that's just residue from the blast, but I do think it's also possible that the device is being used to power some of the Federation technologies, and so maybe that's not debris. Maybe that's not debris from the explosive, but debris from the actual turret that was originally firing before it exploded.
That's kind of my thought. Is maybe this thing is powering up like their defenses or their weapon or something along those lines. So here we go. Yeah, worth noting. Actually, we just saw a red energy pickup, which looked absolutely great. No surprises there. This is footage that we've kind of seen before, but I'm just going to kind of let it play here. Just like absolutely awesome war, imagery going on here. We have a dogfight up in the skies above. And we get to, this is a great shot actually. I'm going to pause it over at 3 minutes and 50 seconds. This is a really great shot of that new Federation design that you were talking about. This looks really slick. Again, God, like I would love to play a game like this. Like, it's funny, like, watching this trailer, one of my biggest takeaways was like, man, did they ever fumble Federation for us? Because if done properly, that would have been a really cool game.
Yeah, absolutely. And also Samus looks really cool in this shot. I love the lighting and the composition of this scene in general.
Yeah.
You can even see like very subtle glows of the green lights like reflecting off various pieces of the suit too, which I think Prime Remastered did that to a degree, but not like it does in this game. Like you can even see some cool visor reflections there. Like it's just so awesome across the board.
Yeah. Just the character designs look absolutely on point. This looks spectacular. So yeah, I'll let the intro play for just a little bit longer here. We've got our Federation guy uploading coordinates to Samus. Scan the door and walk through it. So obviously this is going to be your frigate Orpheon kind of interaction area.
Your Norian.
Yeah, let's skip ahead just a little bit here. You know what? One thing I guess worth mentioning is that it looks like when you scan objects, like it's kind of going the Metroid Prime 2 style, where like the entire scannable object is highlighted.
Yeah. They showed that off in in that first trailer. There's actually a couple of things I wanted to point out. So first off, we get our first I guess not our first look, but our first listen at what the new item acquisition fanfare is going to be in this game. Very, very choir heavy, which definitely, I'm already pretty on board that Kenji Yamamoto is composing this. Choirs definitely feels like Kenji Yamamoto, if you ask me. One other thing that is confirmed in this demo regarding the scan visor is you no longer select the scan visor on the D-pad. You press the X button now to go into the scan visor, which makes me wonder, is this all we're going to get in terms of visors?
We'll see. I can't see that being the case, but we'll see. Okay, let's go forward here. We're at what are we at? About 5 minutes and 8 seconds, and here they are. The space pirates are coming. I don't know if that charge beam has still won me over yet, Doom. It's still a little bit small for my liking.
Yeah, I mean I'm aware that like the charge beam is not going to be winning me over. I've accepted it. I still don't like it. I would rather them do the corruption charge beam with all the crazy particle effects, but you know, at the end of the day, it's just a charge beam. It's just a charge beam.
And one thing to piggyback off what you were saying about the scan visor too, it looks like this is definitely a version of the scan visor, which isn't as, I don't know quite how to describe it. But like when you scan things in the other game, like your range of view is very much limited. And then when you scan something, a lot of times, like right now, we're looking at, you see kind of the holographic images of the space pirate on either side. In Prime games past, that would have been like blocked off. Like you wouldn't have been able to see the background behind it. Whereas this one, it still looks like you're seeing a lot of like the environment, while still getting those scans, which is going to be actually really great for, you know, posting all these scans from OmegaMetroid.com. I like the way that this looks.
And actually, so I don't know where you're at right now. I'm at 547, where Samus just scanned one of the drop pods, and actually we get another look at that unique ship design that Samus shot out of the sky, and it looks like these drop pods specifically come from that ship itself. It looks like it comes out of the underhull of the ship. It can drop three at a time, or maybe 5 at a time. But so it looks like that's the purpose of that ship. It's not primarily a gunship, but a troop deployment ship, which is really interesting.
Yeah, that is kind of neat there. So maybe that's why we haven't seen it before. It's new technology. Who knows?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's keep going. Or sorry, Doom. Go ahead.
There's actually I want to talk about this before, and I totally forgot about it. There's one other interesting thing about the scan visor. So if we go back to the Switch 1 trailer, there's a brief moment where it shows Samus using the scan visor, and it shows her hand moving up, and I thought that was like a reference to like how she activates the scan visors in the cutscenes. You can even see it in the cutscene right before it when she's downloading the map data from that Federation trooper. She puts her hand up to her helmet, but in this demo, you don't see her hand going up to her helmet when she activates the scan visor. And Rob of Rule 2 Review, he talked about this in the video. He theorized that maybe that, once you get to Viewros, maybe you activate some sort of mind power that combines with the scan visor. Maybe that's what the hand thing is referencing. And it's not just like a little subtle detail. So I'm very curious to see if that's just an animation that wasn't included in this demo, or if that is hinting at like maybe some mind powers that ties into the scan visor. I'm very curious now.
Maybe. I guess for me, like, I don't know that I would necessarily need to see Samus, like, do that motion every single time. Like, if there was just, I don't know. I guess if you're going to do it once, though, you should probably do it for the entirety of, the game. But yeah, that is a good observation. I totally missed that as well. All right. Let's resume here. We're at 5:51, so I'm just going to press play. And I think we're about to have our first Morph Ball animation come up, and I did want to take a second to talk about that, because those Morph Ball animations look really crisp.
These new Morph Ball animations are so slick.
We gotta watch that again, actually. Let's do that. Yeah. Oh my god. One more time. Oh, I went back too far. Okay, here we go. One more time. Look at this Morph Ball animation. Oh my goodness. That is just seamless.
Yeah, it's so quick now. You don't really get a good idea in this scene. You'll see it a little bit more in the boss fight, but when Samus is leaving the Morph Ball, you can actually move her in the 4 cardinal directions now, as well as lock onto targets and shoot while you're going back into the first-person view, which you could not do in any of the weirdly enough, the only previous Prime game you could do this in was in Metroid Prime Hunters, although the animations were a lot more janky in that game. Here, they look so crisp and seamless and smooth, and it looks so awesome. And just from a gameplay, this is like such a nice quality of life improvement to the Morph Ball.
Pausing again at 6:23. People, I'm sure, are tired of me talking about this, but like, Jesus, those mechs just look awesome. The golems look so good. These things look imposing. They look physical. It does kind of make you wonder why there's no more 12-foot tall space pirates anymore. Like, what happened to those guys? Like, where did they go?
Yeah, I was gonna say, obviously, we knew, the space pirates make themselves grow big in Federation Force. This really gives you an idea of just how massive that they must have been in those games. Like, those were, full-on Pacific Rim fights going on in Federation Force.
Can you imagine if Samus, hulks up and turns into, a giant ball again in this game? Wouldn't that be something?
You don't need to see that. I think I'm good.
All right. Oh my god, and the golem just absolutely smoked a ship out of the sky. That is fantastic. Okay, so let's go ahead. Samus is just doing a bunch of cool stuff. She's fighting space pirates. And one thing that bothered me in this demo is that the guy playing it never used lock-on once for anything. And I guess, I get it. You want to show the different ways that you can play. But I think it would have been also nice to show that, there is a lock-on option that you can have.
Well, he shows the lock-on when he's just doing the regular control method. It's when he does mouse cons that he doesn't do the lock-on, which I think he's trying to do is demo how accurate the mouse cons are, which I'm sure they are. I think the problem isn't even necessarily his accuracy. I think it's because Metroid Prime is projectile based, not hit scan based, and so basically. For those who don't know FPS terminology, a hit scan means that once you press the button, you automatically instantaneously do damage to an enemy. Whereas projectile base, you have to wait for the projectile to hit the enemy. And in Metroid Prime, you have to lead your shots a bit because every single one of your weapons is projectile based. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's not necessarily the actual accuracy. I think he isn't used to quite leading his shots there. I think that's what's going on.
Oof. So there's a very quick scan I'm trying to get here. It's a vehicle. The 565 PH Hellfire, light combat and transport fighter for deploying dive spikes. So obviously that's a space pirate vehicle there. Paused at 7:35.
I think that's the same. I think that's the same vehicle from earlier that was actually deploying the spikes. The one that Samus shot down.
I think so. Yeah, I think that's exactly what it is. And then this is what we saw from the very first Metroid Prime 4 trailer. We see the exact tunnel here where this space pirate is no more after Samus got a hold of it. And then, of course, we're going to see another absolutely glorious Morph Ball transition. Is it just me, or does that Morph Ball also just look and this is going to sound dumb, but incredibly smooth? like in some morph balls, there's like the little like divot in there. You know what I mean? This one just looks like very sleek, very, very smooth.
I mean, it looks roughly like the same morph ball we've gotten in the last 2 games. It's just like the materials are just so much more, like the materials just are much better emulating like a metallic substance, a lot better than it did on the GameCube, obviously, just because of technological reasons. But otherwise it looks based off roughly that same model. There's probably some very subtle differences. Probably like maybe if once we play the game and we can actually like get a freeze frame of ourselves in high quality, we can see like maybe some additional like details that are like within, but like from a rough outline perspective, yeah.
Sorry, so here we go. We are battling a bunch of space pirates here, and clearly they're trying to get this artifact, to safe passage, and I don't know if we're going to succeed in that mission, as we'll see here in just a few minutes. I
do want to point out quickly. I do want to point out quickly before we proceed with this. We pretty much called out exactly how this intro was going to go, like right when the initial debut trailer happened. We pretty much called that like, hey, this artifact that's the same thing in the logo. Something's going to happen there that sends Samus through time, and that's pretty much exactly how this plays out. So good on us for calling that out like almost a year ago now.
We are nothing if not Metroid scholars on this podcast. So there you go. Lots of obviously like cool stuff that you can scan here, but of course what's really important is what's behind the big yellow door, and we'll get there in just a quick second. In fact, let's just jump right ahead and let's just get there right now, because I'm impatient and I want to see exactly what's next. So I just fast forwarded to 10, 55, 56, 57, and here we go. This looks a lot like the Berserker Lord from Metroid Prime 3, of course. And a lot like the grunts that you saw in Federation Force. And here it is. The Metroid has just fused with this creature to create something even more powerful, even more deadly. We got our first boss fight of the game. Very cool. Man, look, you know what? Hold on. We got to pause for a second. Because I want to point out something or just acknowledge something that you said earlier, Doom. As this creature is transforming into its Metroidified version of itself, I want to pause here really quickly at 11:27. How awesome does that lighting effect look? Like the green reflecting on Samus? This just looks so good. So good. I don't know if you're talking, Doom, but if you're talking, we can't hear you.
Sorry, I sneezed and I forgot to unmute myself.
Very good on you for saving us the sneeze. I appreciate that.
Yeah. I was gonna say like there are so many like snapshots that you could freeze and just put onto a poster. This is absolutely one of them. There's a few more in the scene that happens after this boss fight. There's like 3 alone that I would happily to hang on my wall.
Oh my goodness.
One quick detail I wanted to talk about though in the previous room. So it doesn't happen in this Treehouse demo, but I saw footage in one of the other demos. But one of the scans talks about how the quantum computer powers up the device that actually read the materials for this artifact device. So not the artifact itself, but the device that scanned the material composition of it. And it mentions that it's based off of technology recovered from Talvania. So another little Federation Force reference. Tucked away in there.
There you go. I wonder, like, and this is going to sound like I'm joking, but like, do you think there's going to be an upkeep or are people going to be searching for Federation Force to like play that game after playing this game? And not like a lot of people, but like if you were to tell me like after Metroid Prime 4 release, like within the 6 months after it released, that all of a sudden 100,000 copies of Federation Force were sold, like would that shock you?
100,000 would shock me because
I mean, game maybe not 100,000, but you know what I mean. Like let's just say more than you would expect.
Yeah, I think I don't know if you're gonna see like. I'm not even sure if you're even going to see like 1,000 Federation Force copies being sold. I do think you will see a little bit more people try out Federation Force. I don't think it's going to be an insane amount by any means, but yeah, like I'd be surprised if like I think the ceiling is 500 extra copies of Federation Force, if I'm being honest.
Okay. I mean, certainly, like, it's not easy to track down Federation Force now, because pretty much no 3DS games, I don't think, are still in production, so it's certainly not going to boost up the sales numbers, but I wonder if there's people out there that maybe go through the secondary market, or just like, I really love Metroid Prime 4, and I want to know a little bit about Federation Force, for better or for worse, and I don't know, that was just it was a curious thought.
Yeah, I definitely think you'll see some of that, but I don't think it's going to be major. I think what you are going to see is a lot of people revisiting the Metroid Prime trilogy, particularly 2 and 3 if they've already played Prime Remastered on their Switch. I feel like that's the one that's really going to get. And again, even then, I don't want to say that's going to get like a ton of traction, but like of those options, I feel like 2 and 3 would be the ones that people would revisit most after this.
I think it would be like a really good idea to resell Hunters and Federation Force, because those to me seem like they have more story implications on this game than Metroid Prime 1, 2, or 3 so far. And granted, we don't know that, but I mean, certainly you kind of get the gist. Like, where did Sylux get the Metroids from Federation Force? Where did Sylux make his debut in Hunters? It seems to me like it would be a good way to capitalize on, people maybe saying like, all right, who is this guy? Where did he come from?
Actually, speaking of Metroids, that's probably another important thing that we should bring up. So I never bought into this theory, and I feel very vindicated now, but there was a lot of people when the original debut trailer started, when we first saw Sylux with those Metroids, a lot of people rightfully pointed out that these new Metroid designs only have a single nuclei. But then they immediately started jumping, single nuclei? That means they're Machtroids from Super Metroid. And I was like, is it impossible? No, but I think there's loads of other reasons that could explain the single nuclei other than them being Machtroids. And we see in the opening text they are referred to as Metroids, and I would assume that the single nuclei has to do with their new mind control fusion power that they have here. I don't think it's in any relation to the Machtroids in Super Metroid. But yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, I thought that was silly. If I'm being honest,
I thought it was a bit of a reach. Yeah.
Well, like here's the thing. Like, just because Machtroids have previously been the only like Metroids, quote unquote, to have like a single nuclei, doesn't mean that is the way that it has to stay always. Like, what's like, ask yourself this: like, what's more likely, that Sylux invented a new breed of Metroids after Federation Force, or that he's like going to take over the world with a bunch of Machtroids? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
That seemed to me like kind of a no-brainer. And the fight just ended here, by the way, and our boy is no more. So really quickly, let's take a quick pause at. There we go. This is as good as any. So we're taking a quick pause at 16:01. We get a good look at this artifact. So just based on like what we know, the imagery of the logo so far, this to me, like when the subtitle was revealed and the logo was revealed, I remember Dak was very insistent that there was going to be some sort of time travel, and there very well could be, but what immediately popped out to me was like, this is going to be some sort of wormhole rather than time travel. And I think I feel strongly about that still. Like, this looks like some kind of wormhole device that will like take people to the other side of existence or whatever. You know what I mean? That's kind of the vibe I'm getting from this artifact.
I think it's going to be both. I think it's going to be a wormhole because like I would assume Viewros is like a completely different planet than Tanamar. I don't think it's going to be like Tanamar in the past. I think it's going to be like a whole other plane of reality, if anything. But I also do think that time is going to play a part in it, and we kind of do see time playing a part in it. The Nintendo Switch 1 trailer, when they're showing off the psychic beam ability, like all the enemies are frozen while Samus is manipulating the beam. So I do think we're going to see some time elements at play, but I think it's going to be a combination of both.
Well, let's keep on playing, and we have certainly dissected this next scene well, but you know what? Let's just watch it one more time, because this scene is awesome. There's Sylux, there's his Metroids, there's the Space Pirates, there's the guitar riff in the background.
Yeah, love the WWE entrance.
Oh my god!
And there's another poster shot, now in 4K with it. Oh my gosh, that.
Okay, hold on.
I gotta hold. I gotta show that one shot. Hang on.
We got to talk about this.
What
first.
scene is that?
We got to talk about this first.
I've
seen so many people be like, "Oh, Samus didn't even flinch when her colleague beside her was shot down." You guys, I actually don't even know what people were complaining about, but it's like.
It's a goofy scene. It's not a big deal, but it's just a little bit of a goofy scene. That's all. It's like,
it's not. It's not a goofy scene at all.
Yeah, it is. You have Samus and Sylux just standing there kind of doing nothing while this whole firefight's breaking out around them, and then Samus kind of realizes, oh, my friend just got shot. I should lock insane. In now.
That is ridiculous. Let me tell you why this isn't a goofy scene. Let me tell you why. So Samus is very clearly stunned and being like, "Oh my God, it's Sylux! I thought this guy was dead on planet, Oubliette, back in Prime Hunters. I had no idea that he was still alive." And like, I could absolutely see like, "Holy crap! Like this guy is alive!" And not only that, he has Metroids. And last I checked, like, I did a pretty decent job of trying to at this point, very limit the population of Metroids there. So the other thing too is like, I'm sure Samus doesn't know any of these Federation guys. So like, yeah, they have like a brief stare down, and it's just like cool. It's like an old Western. Like, it's like, who's gonna fire first? Like I feel like a lot of people are complaining about this, and it's like, what are you guys talking about?
So here's the thing, I like the old Western vibe. We actually see something similar in Metroid Prime 2 with Samus and Dark Samus, and it works there because they're the only two people here. The problem is you have a whole platoon on both sides literally firing right past each other. Like,
how would you make the scene cooler?
I would have everyone engage in the action at the same time. Again, it's not a big deal. I'm not complaining about it.
I saw that complaint and I was like, this is so lame. Like, it's such a lame complaint. I'm sorry.
It's a little goofy, but I'm not taken out by it by any means. But it's a little goofy.
It's not goofy. All. Like, I don't think it's goofy at all.
It's goofy. It's totally goofy.
I hate to say this. What is not
goofy? What is not goofy though is this shot at 16:18, where before everyone starts firing at each other, where you do have that really cool gunslinger stare down. You get Sylux in the background with the Metroids, the pirates, and then you just get that underside of Samus highlighting the arm cannon and the right leg. That right there, that is a freaking poster if I've ever seen one. That looks incredible.
I don't know if I'm on your shot or not. I'm so sorry. I cannot fathom why anyone thinks this scene is like anything less than just like absolutely incredible. I don't understand.
So Andy, to be fair, I've never been in a gunfight myself. I'm not gonna lie. So maybe I'm speaking out of my domain here, but I can't imagine if someone is firing weaponry at me that I would just kind of stand there nonchalantly.
You know why you're wrong? Let me tell you why. It's a cool video game and it's a cool moment. I don't think it's goofy. I think that there's like very like real world logic why Samus might be startled for a quick second there. I don't know. I was just like, oh my God, Metroid fans, like, first and foremost, you're bothered about the marketing, then you're bothered about the scene. Like why can't we just be happy?
I'm not bothered. I'm not bothered.
I'm not saying you specific, but I've seen a lot of people talk about this, like particularly in our Discord, and it's just like, come on, guys, come on.
I was talking about it too, but like again, it's goofy, but it's like whatever. Who cares? Like, no, not the first time Samus has done something a little goofy.
Certainly not the last, I hope. All right, let's finish off this. Let's finish off this footage here. And, of course, we have the big stare down. This is so fantastic. I love this. Sylux misses. He hits the anomaly. Samus shoots Sylux. Actually, I want to pause that for a quick sec. It's 16:32. Because I saw some people complaining about this, too. They're like, oh, Samus took down Sylux with one hit. And again, I'm just kind of like, you guys, like, don't forget, Samus has defeated Sylux, like, many times over at this point. So, like, At this point, I'm assuming Sylux is going to level up and get some kind of weaponry or something that will put him on the even playing field. But I think at this point, it's actually like not really a big deal to me that Samus looks a little bit more powerful in this scene than Sylux does.
I mean, I could be wrong. I don't think anyone was like legitimately complaining. I think people were mostly just joking around, like, "Oh man, Sylux had all this aura after that first trailer, and now he just got beat down." Like, oh, all that aura just gone in an instant. Got absolutely mogged by Samus. I don't know. I think most people were being ironic about it, but I don't know. There's probably a couple people that were being serious. That being said, Dak and I were talking about this, and I'm fully on board with this. I believe we don't know exactly how Samus gets her mind powers from Viewros. I would imagine it's the device itself. And if that's the case, I think that that's how Sylux is going to level up, is he's also going to be getting these psychic abilities as well, and he'll probably have his own unique ways on how it combines with the shot coil, which, by the way, first time we've seen the shot coil since 2006. Wow,
that shot
incredible.
Coil looks awesome. That shot coil looks so awesome. I was watching my Metroid Prime Hunters footage last night, and I just got into VDO where you finally get the shot coil, and I'm looking at this and I'm like, oh my god, this looks like what Hunters was going for way back when on the DS. It looks absolutely incredible. All right, so 1636, here we go. We see the anomaly, and it does not like being shot with that shot coil, because it is stirring up, and we're about to have a whole world of trouble here. So this anomaly is turning, it's spinning. It looks like that thing from Inception, and here we go. It is sucking up everything within distance, and it looks like it's engulfing like almost the whole planet. And that's where it ends. That's where it ends.
That's all she wrote.
That is.
Yeah, which honestly, perfect way to end the demo, though, if you ask me. Like, that's, yeah.
Like, I thought that this demo was great. I know that some people were hoping that maybe they could show off like a few new features and stuff like that. I guess I would say this, I think we'll get there. This, I think, was designed to be fairly straightforward if they're showing it off at like the Switch 2 events and everything like that. So I don't know. I thought there was a really good representation of, like, one, if you're new to Metroid, like, this is kind of what Metroid Prime is about. And then two, if you're familiar with Metroid Prime, it kind of eases you back in after such a long layoff from the last game.
Yep, absolutely. And then at the same time, obviously, it's a showcase for the Switch 2, which despite being, and I was adamant about this, like, hey, even if this game is cross-gen, even if it's not taking full advantage of the Switch 2, this is Retro Studios we're talking about here. Even though those small Switch 2 enhancements are going to make a world of difference. Yeah. And my god, what a beautiful showcase that this game is. Despite originally being for Switch 1 hardware, like, it is still able to compete up there with Mario Kart World, DK Bonanza, and some of those, like, really, really shockingly good third-party ports like Cyberpunk as well. And so, yeah, absolutely stunning showcase. Not surprised, because, it's Retro Studios. They're magical. And, yeah, I'm excited to see more. And I think that might be a good segue into what we're going to see next from Metroid Prime 4, because we don't even have a release date for this game. So we're definitely not out of the marketing woods yet. We got a bit more to show.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know about you, Andy, but something fishy's going on, if you ask me. Something fishy's going on with the way this game has been marketed, and I couldn't put my finger on it until recently, and I think I know what's going on now. And that's Metroid Prime 4 hasn't actually had a trailer yet, which sounds crazy, but hear me out. We've gotten 2 extended gameplay segments with, like, some quick cuts, but it's mostly been just that, extended gameplay segments, and then we got that Treehouse demo. But we haven't gotten a traditional trailer that, like, conglomerates, like, a bunch of different aspects of the game together. We haven't gotten even one of those yet, and I think we're just barely scratching the surface of what Metroid Prime 4 is about. And I'm so excited to see what that is. Obviously, the psychic abilities are going to be one of the big parts of how that plays out. I'm sure we're going to see a lot more of that next time. But I think there's some more. I think Nintendo is really holding their cards close to the chest on this one. And I think this game might be a bit more ambitious than a lot of folks think right now.
Yeah. I certainly, like, we're gonna see more of the game for sure. I saw some Metroid fans kind of being like, "What's going on? Why, like, I'm really concerned with the marketing. Why aren't we showing trailers and this and that and this and that?" And I guess for me, I'm not concerned. Like, we still have, I would say, probably at least what is it now? April? I'd say we have at least 5 months to go, maybe 4 months, but we have some time to show off some other features here. There's definitely going to be a Nintendo Direct at some point here in the summertime, and I'm sure that Metroid Prime is going to show up there as well. I think like even if you did, let's just say even if this game was releasing for the Switch on day number 1, which it definitely isn't at this point, I think you've shown some pretty engaging footage so far to convince people like this is a game worth your while. Not only on like the gameplay side, but on the technical side as well. Like I think that I don't necessarily feel actually concerned about that. But I mean, that being said, like, yeah, we're definitely gonna, like, I mean, think of this, like we've seen psychic abilities, but we haven't seen any other visors. We haven't seen really any indication of like what the story on Viewros is. We haven't seen, like, there's a lot that we haven't seen. So like, yeah, like
there's also,
of course.
There's also, and we talked about this during the first gameplay demo, but we noted that the missiles are on the D-pad now where the scan visor used to be, but the other 2 buttons are blank, and that's still the case in all the new footage we've seen. So I'm curious to see what kind of abilities are going to be mapped to those buttons, because unless I'm mistaken, I don't believe the psychic abilities are mapped to the D-pad, or at least I don't remember seeing anything additional there that wasn't there during that initial reveal.
Yeah, I don't.
I'm curious about that. But one of the things I did want to talk about, kind of relating to that, is this key art. Now this was released after the Switch 1 Direct. That was the week before the Switch 2 Direct, and we never really got a chance to talk about this yet.
Yeah, let's bring this up actually, because I went to the Nintendo press site and I pulled all of the key art for an article over on Omega there. So if anyone wants to take a look at a lot of the key art, we have it all at OmegaMetroid.com. But I've got the key art up on the stream here, and ooh, man, this looks good.
First off, I think after this game comes out, we got to revisit our Metroid box art rankings, because I think this is going to be a top tier contender right here. This is such a killer shot right here.
Looks pretty cool.
Samus with the third eye and the outstretched hand. It looks so fantastic. I love it. But Samus is actually kind of the least interesting part of this shot, at least in terms of like stuff that we can take away from, because obviously we already know about the psychic abilities at this point, but there's a couple of really intriguing things about this piece of art. First off, so we can see the Lamorne there in the background, but we also see what looks to be Chozo statues flanked across the side. Like, I don't know about you, those look pretty much identical to Chozo's statues, with like the wings, the legs, and like, I'm pretty sure those are beaks even on the helmets. So
very similar.
So yeah, so I'm curious just how big of a role that the Chozo are going to play, because until now I would have assumed none at all. But
well, the other thing too that might be worth mentioning is, if indeed this is a wormhole that's like taking us back in time, the Chozo could very well be like active participants on the planet. Like, they wouldn't have ascended to wherever they went off to next, which is cool.
Yeah, so that's interesting. So I'm very curious to see what the implications are there.
Yeah.
But also, so in the background, you see the structure with like this floating tooth on it. It's to the right, to the bottom right of where Samus's hand is. It's this giant tall structure, and there's like this floating tooth. I'm not really sure what that is, but it looks really cool. You see these flying bird or dragon-like monsters. I don't think those are Ridley, but who knows? Which actually, speaking of which, before this demo, that's another thing. I would have been like 99% sure that we were going to see Ridley. We don't see Ridley at all in this demo, and so I'm actually a lot less inclined that Ridley is going to pop up in this game now. Unless there's a part of the demo that they're hiding from us, but I can't imagine that if Ridley was going to be in the beginning of the game, they'd hide that from us. I feel like that's something you would want to put first and foremost in the marketing. So maybe we don't actually
expected to see Ridley in like the beginning of the game, to be fair.
Well, I mean, you see him in Corruption. Well, me neither, but like, one, you see him in Corruption, but more importantly, two, it seems like the wormhole transports everyone to Viewros, and so if Ridley doesn't partake in that invasion, I'm not sure how else he's going to get to Viewros. What I would imagine, 99% of that game is going to take place.
Maybe Viewros is where Ridley comes from. Bum. Oh. Maybe. It depends on if you're going back in time. It depends on. I I could be very intrigued by that possibility that Viewros is like the planet of Ridley's,
I'm not opposed to that. There's a way that you can mishandle that, but there's also a really cool way you can handle that. And so yeah.
Even if it wasn't like, I think that you and Dak like hate this, but I don't mind it. Where like even if you introduced like a new, not a new Ridley, but a new member of his species, I guess, as like a new antagonist or something. I think that could be pretty cool as well. But yeah, I mean, I guess like if not, then you're right. Like I don't know. I don't know how you're bringing Ridley back unless it was maybe some kind of scenario like Metroid Fusion where like you had Ridley in like a freezer or something like that on this particular planet. That seems a little bit sus to hold such an important anomaly or artifact and also like Ridley's remains on one location, but it could be, maybe.
Yeah, hard to say. So yeah, that's all interesting. The single most intriguing part of this shot, and this is why I think Nintendo is especially holding their cards close to the chest, it's the environment shown. So first off, we straight up haven't seen this environment yet. It looks like kind of this almost Sahara Desert like sand dune area. You have some crystalline looking objects sticking out of the ground here. So we haven't seen that area yet, and I would imagine that's a very important area if that's part of the promotional art here. You also have this this castle like structure. It almost I wonder if that's like a rallying point for like the surviving Federation members who also got transported here, and that's like their little holdout location. But what really intrigues me about this area is this does not look like a typical Metroid area. This is very wide open.
To traverse.
Yeah, you can go in. Yeah, you pretty much go in all directions. There's no like corridors or structures that are funneling you one way. It's a very, I don't want to say open world, but it's a very open-ended area. And it doesn't look like a piece of the background. Again, especially because of that little structure that's there. That looks like a structure that you can visit. That doesn't look like something that's just there for the background. And so I'm wondering if that's hinting to, again, not necessarily open world Metroid. I don't think we're getting that, but I do wonder if we're going to get some open-ended style areas that we've never really seen in a Metroid game before after after kind of the tutorial section of the game.
I think so. Like even based on that that room that we saw in the last trailer, like the one open room where it was like the big bridge that was leading to that main temple. I think that there's gonna be like a lot of I wouldn't call it open world either necessarily, but I think that there's maybe going to be some sandbox areas that you can like freely kind of roam around like this. I guess you just call them like big Metroid rooms, basically.
Even the bridge area, like you're still being funneled in that direction because of the bridge. We've seen stuff like that before, not quite to that same scale, but with like Skytown, for example, where you're funneled across one path, but you can still see some of the other areas in the distance you can view. But it's still very much like a linear corridor path. This does not look like anything like that at all. This very much does look like kind of an open-ended area where you can see something off in the distance and actually travel to that rather than just going through a corridor and encounter that other corridor later in your adventure. Yeah, well, I'm very fascinated by this piece of art.
We'll see. Like there's a lot of really cool stuff there. I think what intrigues me the most is certainly that tower with the whatever it is above it, the big
floating tooth looking object. Yeah,
the big tooth. Very, very good pickup there about the Ridley Dragon thing flying around, though. I barely even saw those when I looked at this the first time. So I really can't wait until we get our next piece of information, and I don't think it's going to be long. I really don't. I think we'll probably have a direct... I don't know if I'm ready to say that I 100% think it's going to be in June. I could maybe see them pushing it to July just to give the Switch 2 release a little bit of breathing room. But maybe not. I don't know. But I think it's going to be this summer for sure.
I think it's going to be a June Direct. I mean, granted, patterns is not always the most reliable thing when it comes to Nintendo, because they could very easily break a pattern as well as they can keep on it. But June Direct has been a pretty consistent, even before we had the Directs. Like, you had June E3s, and they kept doing that for all the June Directs. Could it theoretically change? Sure. I certainly wouldn't rate it 100% on the Samus percentages meter, but I'm feeling a high 90 that it's going to be a June Direct, a mid to late June Direct. I'm feeling.
I hope it's mid-June, because I have a week off in June from work. And that would be serendipitous if it was just happened to take place during that time. That'd be that. Now that probably guarantees that we will not have it in mid-June. So there you go. But yeah, I'm pretty I'm pretty stoked. Like, honestly, like from everything that we saw from the footage, like some of the goofiness aside, like I was kind of giving you the gears, but
yeah.
Like whatever. Like I'm like so pumped for this game. It really it's gonna be here soon, and I think it's just like it's so exciting.
It's happening this year for sure, guaranteed.
Indeed. Oh, excuse me, dude.
Bless you.
I'm dying over here. No, I got. I was talking too much, and now my throat's on fire. Oh my goodness.
Well, here I'll talk for you in this case then. So I know you took a little jab at me last week when I said that Mario Kart World was my most anticipated game. I will say this though. Again, I think this is largely because Nintendo is still holding a lot of their cards to their chest. And despite how much cards they're holding to their chest, I'm still very excited to play this game. I mean, obviously, it's freaking Metroid Prime 4. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I think after this June Direct, it's going to shoot up to number 1. I'm very excited to see what they premiere at that June Direct.
Mm-hmm. You know what? I saw this the other day as I'm recovering to try and talk and breathe here. I saw like a piece of Mario Kart artwork doing like the Acura pose with the motorcycle, except it was the cow on it, and it was like so awesome. Like it was just like, yes, I have to. That kind of won me over for cow. Actually, I was like, okay, cow, you're kind of my guy now. I finally clicked.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm glad you finally seen the light on that. Like, it's like how can you hate Moo Moo Meadow Cow? How can you hate him?
I will say too, by the way, so I was definitely just kind of giving you the gears about that. Like I mean I think Mario Kart World looks awesome. This is probably the best looking Mario Kart that I can remember. If I'm being honest.
It looks incredible. Like, I had high expectations going in, and it just and we still have a Mario Kart Direct coming up in like a few days. By the time this premieres, I think it'll be happening the next day after
I think it's
this
on
premieres.
Thursday, right?
Yep, it's Thursday. So you folks listening to this on Wednesday, we got a Mario Kart Direct in less than 24 hours.
We had people, by the way, that were just like so down to hear a Mario Kart bonus episode over on Patreon. So, Doom, we might have to give the people what they want. I don't know.
I'll take the wheel from here, boys.
There you go. Okay. Any final thoughts about the footage that we've seen from Metroid Prime 4 that we want to just share before we get on out of here?
I might be being a bit hyperbolic. This feels like a hyperbolic statement. I genuinely cannot think of any cutscenes that look better than the cutscenes we saw in that demo. Those cutscenes are so... And again, the goofiness of the one aside, I'm talking about like the actual like the visuals and like the lighting, the way everything is set up. Like everything just looks so phenomenal. And they're not like, pre-rendered or CG cutscenes. They're all like real-time in-game cutscenes. Like, this is such a gorgeous looking game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hats off to Retro Studios and their engineering team over there. Like they have outdone themselves.
Yeah, like this game just looks like stupidly fantastic. Yeah, like the visuals just, I mean, oh my goodness. I do empathize, with people certainly that potentially might not be able to get the Switch 2 right away, or the Switch 2 version of Metroid Prime. I still think it looks really awesome on Switch 1.
Yeah, the Switch 1 version still looks fantastic. You can definitely tell, though, that it's like a Switch 1 game, which
Yeah.
Hey, not a bad thing. I mean, Luigi's Mansion 3 is also a Switch 1 game. Metroid Prime Remastered is also a Switch 1 game, yeah.
I was going to say, like, I think it looks better than Remastered, actually. And Remastered is probably the best looking Nintendo game I've ever seen. So this one, I think when this releases, like, it's going to be certainly the best looking Switch game. So you know, take that for what you will. And then, yeah, like at least kind of the good news is that you can upgrade later afterwards. So I think it's kind of like a win-win for everybody in that scenario there. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, let's get to June and get to June quickly, because I gotta imagine we got a trailer, we got a story trailer, and we got a release date that's coming imminently. I'm still thinking maybe September is a good time frame for it. I could see that now that we know when the Switch is coming out, or the Switch 2. So sooner than we thought, which is great.
I'm thinking between August and October. So yeah, September, nice little sweet spot there.
Yeah. And then that would be really cool too, because I also have a week off in September, so that would be fantastic. All right.
Hey, September's my birthday, so that would kind of be the coolest birthday present ever. I did. Fun fact, Metal Gear Solid 5 actually came out on my birthday, September 1st, so there you go.
There you go. Hey, I think I knew this actually, but I totally forgot that we're a month apart for birthdays. I'm a month behind.
Oh, you're in October. Oh no, you're an August 1st guy. Okay.
No. You had it right the first time.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
I'm a Halloween month baby. October 1st.
Gotcha.
Is me. All right. That is our thoughts on Metroid Prime 4 beyond the footage that was shown in the Treehouse demo. So this is kind of what we got going on for the next couple of weeks here. So next week we are going to be doing a story episode here. What our thoughts about what the story could be. We might have even given some of it away in this episode, but we'll elaborate on that. And I don't know, maybe we should actually ask people for maybe some of their takes as well, and story theories as well, just to get that in here. That might be fun.
So we did want to do. I did want to do a Q&A episode. So maybe after the story episode, we'll bring out those Q&A forms, and we'll, because we want to hear from you guys. What are your thoughts on all this?
Yeah, I think we could, because yeah, after that we definitely got another Q&A coming up, and you know what? You can also throw your Switch 2 questions in there, like pre-order, whatever. Like if you put it in there, and we can certainly answer them. After that, we're going to go back to a tried and true classic episode that this podcast was built on. What do we want from Metroid Prime 4? And I think this is like volume 4, like the 4th edition of this particular segment that we've had. But each time we've had it, we've had new ideas. Certainly now we're going to have a lot more information. So this is going to be really particular detailed. After that, we are going to be exploring the origins of the Galactic Federation and diving deep into the lore behind this particular organization. And maybe we can even uncover what Sylux has against these guys. We'll see. Gonna be
bringing back logbook archives for.
That's right.
It feels like it's been quite a while since our last logbook episode. So
you know what? It's time been a while, yeah. And I was thinking too, like, it's been a long time. Somebody mentioned to me Samus and Joey yesterday, and I was like, good God, it feels like it's been a long time since that too. So yeah, those will have to come back. Which
we also do have on the docket as well. We gotta have some content rolling before that June Direct. So
yes. So that is what's coming up for the next couple of weeks here. Maybe we'll even try and fit in a Samson Joey before June. We'll see what we can do. Depends on how the news keeps on breaking here. All right. Well, I think, my friends, that is going to do it for us. So really quickly, let's wrap it up here. I will let everybody know a couple of things. Of course, the first and foremost thing is that you can check out OmegaMetroid.com for all of your Metroid needs. If you like guides, maps, news, editorials, thought pieces, whatever, we got some stuff for you over on that website. And speaking of Sylux, actually, we are nearing completion of a Sylux-related project, a guide that is 4 years in the making. So stay tuned for that. That's going to be coming out pretty soon.
Yeah, one that you hopefully. I was about to say one that you hopefully don't have to hunt too hard for.
I see what you did there. Maybe everybody can experience the shock coil for themselves if you get my drift. So that's going to be coming pretty soon. My goal is by the end of the month, but we'll see how that shakes out. And check us out wherever you get your podcast. Go like, subscribe, recommend, rate, review, all of that good stuff. It would be so cool if you guys left us a 5-star review. That helps more people find the show. And I tell you this, I'm going to do a better job, actually, of interacting with people who leave comments on our Spotify episodes, because I am 100 years old and didn't realize that people actually did that. People actually cared enough to do that. And Allison last week pointed it out. Like, there's a ton of comments over on the ZeldaCast and Omega. So thank you so much to everybody that leaves those comments. And we'll try and do a better job of reading them in the future. We have a Patreon, patreon.com/SPNet. The Great Metroid Area ranking rolls along. Although, hey, maybe this month it's going to be Mario Kart time. I don't know. We'll have
keep
to see
rolling.
Yeah, with the cow from. I didn't know that was the cow actually from. What's that track called?
Moo Meadows.
Moo Meadows.
Mario Kart Wii, baby.
How could I not know that? Lastly, we want you to give us a follow wherever you are over on social at Spiteri316, at Doom Lacrosse, at Omega Metroid. That's where we are over on Blue Sky. Thank you so much, my friends, for checking us out. And we will see you back here next week with some story thoughts for Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. So until then, my friends, take care.